Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Backpack Trader Training Room for Thursday, June 24th. And just less than a week before the middle of the year already. Please do say hello. Give me a quick sound check if you will. Started. Good morning, Miles. All right. Taking a look at crude. We have our first trade. At the setup was at 8:55. If you get in sync, you picked it up right around in here somewhere. Our start time was here. Actually, the long was too far too fast. First trade is the 903 short. That's at 72.57. And that meanders around until 911. And we get a stop and reverse at 68. And I would push that up a tick, get it beyond that previous bar, at least a tick, so 69. I'd like to go to 71, but it's not a big enough trade. So I have the money management at 79. And it goes up, just barely hits money management, comes back, stops out for a couple of ticks. So we're down 22 ticks, and we have one more trade that we can take. And at the moment, we can take shorts. We can get pink shorts, or we can get trades off the moving averages. So that's where we stand at the moment. This will be the last, win or lose, this will be the last trade. Then our next trade will be the last trade of the session, assuming we get it before 10 o'clock. Unleaded gave us, this was the long that got in sync. So you get the long gets in sync, and then it gets a full stop out. That one I'd want to see test the lows again before taking it. So it did stop out, and it tested the lows. So that's one you could possibly avoid it if you didn't, and you got in sync. It was down 86, and we get a subsequent long at 908. Entry at 2487. That goes to target at 2529 for 42 ticks. And we are currently trailing with the stop at 2519. And we actually need to get just a couple of ticks, or actually 3 ticks beyond the target 2 to get positive. And so target 2 was 29, and we are right at target 2, so that would put us down 4. Is that right? Yeah, 4. No, down 2. So I would push that up to 32 and get positive on this trade. Pound Aussie picked up a trade, and the market just opened, so I will close down the Pound Aussie again when it pops up here. We're in the trade, and Kevin just called break even. I don't agree with that based on what he had put out, because the break even point was only 10 pips from the entry, so I would push that break even up to the target 1 level, which would be the full 12 pips. That's the 12 pip minimum. And crude with a short, bang bang, and I wasn't watching it, so I missed it. Money management at 54, entry was at 64, so our targets will be 49 and 43, with money management at 54, and it is a possible get in sync. I accidentally closed that chart. That was not good. And now we have a potential, I have a potential short. And Kevin has us flat now on the trade today. And the crude short, for anybody that didn't get in, should be back in sync now, or at least have a get in sync order now that it's come back up beyond the entry. I will be with you in the comments in just a minute. I've got to take care of trades. Okay, so we are in the short now. An unleaded stopping out for enough to get positive. So that's a POQ 2539. Gets us 8 ticks positive. Crude in the short. All right, the YM picking up an SMA long. That's a long off the 20 SMA. That's a diamond level trade. The Russell went too far on the long before our start time, so we pick up with the short that just hit money management. Money management on the Russell with the stop at 12.7, 12.8, excuse me. And the Russell with a short or a stop and reverse, depending on whether you took the SMA trade or not. That's a really small short. Just a 16 tick risk, and it looks like it's going to stop out. I would certainly have wanted to. Actually, that one may get away with that one anyway. Entries at 77, so it would be 73. And it got as low as 76. So yeah, we're still in the long. And giving us another long, but that's money management on the original long. So our stop would come to 977. And the stop and reverse is canceled on the YM. and a potential stop and reverse on crude, and it has hit it, so it should be long. Actually, won't be long, but that's an exit point if you choose, because we were in the third trade of the session, or you can leave the risk on to the natural stop. Good morning, Armando. So unleaded is done. The Russell got a nice partial, but still needs a target 2. The YM has gotten to target 2, so that's actually going to be a one and done trade on the original blue long trade, the dark blue SMA trade. So the YM is in its POQ trade. And good morning, Al. Crude is it's either in or finished with its third trade, depending on how you played it. Since it was the final trade, I went ahead and left the risk on, because it's been just bouncing around there, trying to figure out which way it's going. And I stuck with the morning trend of the short. Okay, the Russell, with the successful short, we need a new overbought or oversold reading for pink or blue trades. Otherwise, we have the yellow, the magenta, and the dark blue, the royal blue setups coming off the EMAs, or coming off the moving averages. Dark blue is off a simple moving average. And the YM has stopped out. This is when I definitely would wait for it to, that definitely looks like a reaction move. I would wait for that one to come back up and at least test and our stop is under the session high by about five ticks. So I would definitely wait for this one to test before taking it, if it were me and I weren't already POQ on the first trade. Let me see if I can bring back that pound Aussie chart. And it's not going to let me bring that back without closing it out. And since I have active trades, I really don't want to do that. All right, so the YM and the unleaded are done. YM is done if you use the SMA trade. If not, the YM, if you avoided the YM on the initial setup, and I would have made that test before I took it, especially since we have a fairly strong uptrend so far this morning on the YM. The entry was 34.04. We got as low as we came exactly to the entry. I think I would go 33,999 on that one. That is a major 34,000 is a major key level, and it's a plenty big trade. Those are things, if I were looking at, if that's what I were trading, I would have been aware of and looking for. But yeah, that's one that you definitely want. It's a 5-tick adjustment, but this is a big. The 14-tick range bar is a pretty big chart, and so 33.99 I think is a good place for that. And so we did take the full stop if you stayed in the crude trade. So 9 o'clock crude session is done. We've got another session coming up in about 10 minutes. And that did hit money management, so it's gone too far for a get in sync 10 a.m. trade. So a losing session for the 9 a.m. session on crude. Pound Aussie still with the pending short, and now we have a new pending short, or at least I do, at 83.44. Kevin hasn't called anything. And that's very much a difference in where our moving averages are. And I just triggered into my not adjusted, but new short. Oh, I didn't track soybeans this morning. We had so much else going on. All right, our original short did stop out, so I would say that's a trade avoided. We now have a new short. It's about, Dan, that stopped out. That one would have been a little harder to avoid. I think that one would have been taken at 34,022, and that would have been a 34 tick loss times 2 positions. So down 68 if you didn't use the SMA trade earlier and get one and get done. Yeah, I accidentally closed my pound Aussie chart, and since I've got active trades, I don't want to close the workspace and reopen it to bring that back up, so it's a little harder to set up. Let's see if I can get back from this one. I don't think. Actually, I think that may be the right. That should get me back pretty close. Yep, that was what I showed. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right, because now that's interesting. Yeah, the original entry was at 48, but that actually So six. My original entry was 48. Kevin's, I'm sure, was 49. That key levels to 51, so should have pushed the. And Kevin had 63 as target one. I've got 62, but that's where my money management would have been. It would have been 62, which was target one, and we just missed that. I don't know what's going on. All right, so that was the original. This is my new trade, and for me, that was a stop and reverse because of the adjusted money management. So that brings my money management to 83.32 rather than 34. So there is my money management for that trade. And Kevin's trade at 44 is live. Okay, Kevin's trade was originally at 44. Mine was at my original trade was at 39. Okay, so we're in at the 44 level. Stop at 66. Target at 32, which, yeah, that would be the 12. A little bit different setup. That's going to be the differences in the data. Okay, 10 a.m. crude session is in progress, and the earlier trade just earlier long just stopped out, so we are looking for our first trade there. And so at the moment we have no overbought or oversold readings after the successful long, so looking for moving average trades only at the moment. Russell has been pretty quiet. We've got a brand new short that we're in, actually, that just stopped out. So we got our partial and then a full stop out. So Russell is kind of so-so this morning. All right, the 1M took a full stop of 34 for gold level traders. And then we got a target one of 31. So a loss of 68, 37, and what do we get on the trailer? 34,026 from 033, so we got 7. So we're down 30 at the moment. All right. All right, so let's step back a minute and take a look at, while we're waiting for setups, take a look at soybeans and see what it did this morning. Looks like it was very active at the open, as is often the case with soybeans. And it had a possible get in sync until and went too far, so it didn't have anything to get in sync with. That's filtered. Didn't trigger the add-on short. Didn't trigger the long or the short. And finally, here's our first trade at 21 seconds in. 23, 25. That one's not tradable until possibly there. Yeah, that's a get in sync. The stop and reverse short is filtered by the hybrid mode, by the trend line, trend indicator. So we are currently in the long. Another stop and reverse filtered by the trend indicator. And there's target 1, so it's a 1 done session. Target 2, and stopping out at 76.50 from our entry at 73.0. So we picked up 12 and 19 ticks, 31 ticks. We basically do Crypticon. Welcome and glad you're here. We basically normally cover mostly the spotlight charts, but I'm certainly happy to do whatever you like. I haven't even got the energies yet, the catapult energies. So I'll have to. I didn't realize Troy had launched that this week. I hadn't seen anything, as a matter of fact. Of course, I've been. But we normally open up about 9:20 to 9:30 Eastern time, and we'll run until usually somewhere around 11 o'clock. Let's move this pound Aussie chart off over here. And this is the catapult for the micro ES. And and didn't have any trades in the 9:35 session. So we'll wait for the 10:30 session, or actually that's 8:35. We'll wait for the 9:30 session. I'm looking at the Eastern time zone timestamps, but actually we use central, the exchange time for the ES is Central Time. Okay, so you were a member back about the time I joined. I joined with originally with Trend Jumper just about the time Troy launched his Counterpunch Trader. Just shortly before he launched Counterpunch. But Troy will be in. Troy should be back in Monday. He's in Mondays and Wednesdays. I cover Tuesdays and Thursdays. But he had indicated he was going to be tied up this week, so I'm assuming he was probably doing Catapult Energy stuff. Getting that launched. So welcome back. And we certainly, one of the reasons that this latest strategy we may pull into the room a little bit more, because it sounds like it actually has a little bit more consistent trading to it. The 5-minute charts that we're using on most of the earlier Catapult modules are not real good for the room, because they just don't give enough setups to make for good teaching, for a good learning situation. So 31 soybeans on, and the soybeans chart is Counterpunch, by the way. Soybeans gave us 31 ticks on targets and another 14 on the trailer. Actually, 14 times 2 positions, so 28. So 59 ticks, almost 15 points. That's $30 a point. That's a $750 trade if you're taking it with all 4 positions. This is John Leeser. I'm in the room most of Troy's days as well. When we're in the room, I have to work under the channel, the YouTube channel. So that's why I show up as Backpack Trader. And no new trades on either. Okay, there is a new trade on the Russell. We're not really watching. We're watching to try to figure out what's the chart to be trading now. It just hasn't been the same market since it changed from $10 a tick to $5 a tick. And especially when the increased volatility from COVID really threw it, because it gets really, really fast first thing in the morning. So we're just watching the 1.5 point momentum bar, 15 tick range. And as you can tell, I'm projecting NinjaTrader. Troy runs trade stations. It actually gives everybody a chance to see the different platforms that strategies run on. Neither one of us runs MT4 on futures for obvious reasons, especially since we're primarily running range bars or momentum bars. The TradeStation momentum bar is equivalent to the NinjaTrader range bar. Okay. Yeah, he's not going to be, okay, that's what it is. He's not going to do the training until next month. I wasn't aware he'd actually started marketing it yet. Of course, next month being starting a week from today. But we normally we'll take a look at what's going on with Russell, but our primary charts are the 8 tick or 8 cent momentum. See, you're on in NinjaTrader, so the 8 tick range bar, we do mini sessions at 9, 10, and 11, 9, 10, 11, and 1:30 on that. Those are 1 hour mini sessions, except for 9, 10, 11, and 1. The 1 o'clock mini session being an hour at 1 to 2:30. All the rest are just 1 hour mini sessions. That chart readability depends a lot on bandwidth. It may be I'm having low bandwidth going out, which is keeping them blurred a little bit, because I do know that when I'm watching Troy at 720, if my bandwidth has me drop down to 720p, it's difficult to see the charts. But I will be happy to expand those for any questions anybody has. But right now, the YM got to positive, on this early long, but not everybody is using the SMA trade in that trade plan. So subsequently, I would have said avoid this one by adjusting to 34,090 or 33,999, and it stopped out without triggering in the adjusted entry. So we then took a full loss. And this is a spotlight chart. We took a full loss on the second attempt at a short, 34,022, and that was a 34 tick loss. 2 positions on the basic trade plan. So we were down 68, and the second short, we picked up a target 1, which is our actionable target. 31 ticks leaves us down 37. We've then picked up 7 ticks on the trailer, so down 30 and waiting for another trade. At the moment, we're in the 10 a.m. crude session. Had no trades there. We're in our second trade of the morning on the pound Aussie in the short that I have. That was a stop. For me, that was a stop and reverse based on the fact that my original entry was at 48. Which would key level adjust, being a major key level at the 50. That would key level adjust to 51, and that would push money management to 63, which would have been 1 pip beyond target 2. Target 2 would have been 11 pips, which would have been an acceptable target. So that would have been 2 positions off at target 2 at 62 on my charts. And that would have also been my money management level, and it just barely missed it right here. So then I stopped and reversed into this trade at 44. So that pushed my money management down to 32 down here, which is what I have marked. And I'm currently in that short trade. Trade today also is in, which uses the pound Aussie chart, the same pound Aussie chart. The signal service is in a short from 83.44, and its target is 83.32, and has stop loss. Its first target is 83.32, and then its second is 83.25. My first target is up here at 36. And my first actionable target is going to be 29. Differences in data on Forex make significant differences in what your charts look like. So if you're using a signal service, trade the signal service. If you're using your charts, trade your charts, and don't try to follow something else. And we've got another catapult long, but that is 10 minutes before our mini session start time, and that just hit its target 1, which means it's gone too far. So it will not be a get in sync candidate. And while I was talking, the Russell got into the long and is approaching money management. There's money management. Stop to 12.3. 12.2 was the entry. Target 2 is 16.4. See if it can get to... If we get to target 2, we'll definitely be in the POQ trade. Target 2 is 40-something ticks. Yeah, 42 ticks. 27-tick trade is almost big enough to take target 1. 33-tick risk. Yeah, that's actually not a bad, wouldn't be a bad target 1 if you took that. But since we took target 2 on the earlier trade, it definitely wasn't big enough to take. It was just a few ticks, a couple of 3 ticks larger than this. It was like 31 ticks. So 4 ticks larger than target 1 on this trade. So if you're using target 1 here for an actionable target, I would probably push my stop up to 12.7 if I were trading this at this point, and make sure that I was positive on the session. The purple is 200. And the gold is the 50. The blue is, those are both EMAs, and the blue is the 20 SMA. Simple moving average. And those are consistent across all of the charts that I'm posting here, with the only exception, well, it's not really an exception, but the trend indicator that you notice on the soybeans chart in the bottom left is going from red to blue depending on the slope, but that's still a 20 SMA. Okay, we do have an overbought reading on crude, so we could get a short on this bar if it goes below, if we get a close below the balance line. Current trade would be at 84. And I would push that down to 80. Yeah, it's going to set up at 84. And be 05 to 82, or 84. I know, 86. 05 to 86. X is going to be 19 ticks. So we'll have a 17 tick target. Yeah, I think I would take 2 ticks on that and bring it to 82. But there's no signal yet, but that's what I would do with it, assuming it's going to come at 84 if this bar closes down. No, that's the overbought, oversold indicator, overbought, oversold histogram used for Spotlight. That's a part of the Spotlight indicators. All right, and we also have the possibility coming here of a long off of either the 20 SMA, or it may be we could possibly get it one off the 50. Yeah, 50. It'll be off the 50 EMA when it takes priority. Low at 95, so 06 would be the entry. The color, and see, we've got this pink bar getting positive is an overbought indicator, that's a signal that we can take a short. If the blue bars get above 0, then that would be an indicator of an oversold condition, and we can take a long. But we also have trades starting with proximity to the moving averages, and so that's why I said that the 06 is a possible long setup. So right now we have a down close that closes below the, let's see, it's going to close at 92 if with current bar conditions. That would be below the balance line, and so we'd get a setup at 89. So the close of this bar is going to give us a setup one way or the other. Currently, our long setup would be at 73.06. Our short setup would be at 72.89. Our long setup is definitely going to be above the balance line. Long up close would be above the balance line, and down close at this point will be below. And let's see, we've got 95. And there's the long trade at 73.06. And a long trade just triggered in. Let's get this. The entry was at 06, money management's at 18, targets at 20 and 29. Yes, that's a long trade. The yellow trade is a trade off the proximity of the exhaustion dots to the 50 EMA. The exhaustion dots are within four ticks of the EMA, so which is how that trade is initiated. And then the third exhaustion dot the bar closes above the balance line, so it sets up a long trade. And we're almost to money management already on that trade. Okay, the Russell stop now at 12.9, so that's definitely going to be POQ on that chart. It'll be at least 3 ticks positive on the day. And that looks like where it's going to end. And whoa, there it is. There's the stop out. But that will get us positive on the day. And money management and target 1 on the 8-tick crude. So that will be a POQ. That will be the POQ trade for the 10 o'clock session. One and done. And the Russell, not the Russell, the YM with a long at 34051. And pushing up to close to target 2. Whoops, wait a minute. Target 2 at 73.29. Looks like it touched it. And there it pushed through it. And the Russell stopping out at 12.9, as we said. YM has not triggered the long yet. So everything is done except the Pound Aussie. Pound Aussie and the Catapult running on the micro ES. No trades on that so far. The earlier trade has stopped out at got target 1 and a break-even stop, 1 tick stop for break-even. Are you asking what the different colors of the trade indicators mean? The pink trade is an overbought short corresponding to the pink bars on the overbought oversold indicator below. The light blue is the light blue is a long overbought long or oversold long trade. The yellow is proximity trade off the 50 EMA. Magenta would be a proximity trade off of the 200 EMA if that's part of the trade plan. And the dark blue trade would be proximity trade off the 20 SMA. Now the bar coloring actually for Spotlight actually follows the system state. In other words, if the system is in it, if upon the bar close, the system is in a long trade, the bars will paint green. If it's in a short trade, they'll paint red. And of course, the brighter color indicating a bar in the direction of the trade, the darker bars indicating opposite direction of the trade. So the bright green bars are up bars, the dark green is down bars. The bright red is down, the dark red is up. The light gray, dark gray bars indicate that the system is flat, with light gray indicating down bars, dark gray indicating up bars. There, if I remember correctly, there were some different color trades on the Trend Jumper based on some different setup criteria. It's been too long since I looked at Trend Jumper, frankly. And the YM trade did trigger in, just touched the entry. And crude off to the races, going through target 2 and approaching target 3. Stop at currently at 2307. Basic trade plan, that trade would be complete with target 2, targets 1 and 2 positions. I typically don't run a trailer on that chart unless it's because we haven't hit the second target yet. That's certainly optional. In the case of a catapult, the long trades are green, the short trades are red. We also can get a green trade on Spotlight, which is that's just a strong trend reversal trade, and the indicator for that is this green trend strength line. When that gets above 0, then you can get a green trade in the opposite direction. But a green trade is all either a blue or a pink trade anyway, so it's going to be there. It's just the green trade just indicates it's a strong trend strength situation. Yeah, the overbought oversold indicator is part of Spotlight, not Catapult. Now the Catapult chart that I have in the bottom right, I have the CCI indicator running at the bottom of that. And that, I'm sure Troy will refer to that in training as well, if he's using it in the Catapult module. Catapult is a modular strategy, so he's he's been releasing different markets. Normally, it's just one market, one E-mini, and the micro of the same market, like the ES, micro ES, the YM, micro MYM, micro Y, NQ, micro NQ are the ones that are currently available, and he's getting ready to release the energies, which is going to be crude and unleaded gas, I believe heating oil, and possibly natural gas. I thought he was including all four of the energies in that module. Those are the four energies that we typically trade. And he does use the catapult type, or the spotlight type bar colorings, but those are optional. You can turn those off, so you have your normal, whatever color your chart setup has. And you'll notice that my bar colors on the counterpunch chart are, I use blue up bars, red down bars. Just easier for me to differentiate from things like the green balance line and from green trades is why I do that. And it's instead of a bright red, I use an orange red, so I can, if I have anything indicators in red, that's a difference in contrast, so it's easy to see. And the YM's taking a full stop out on that trade, unfortunately. Okay, questions. More questions. Oh, there are definitely more winners than losers on Troy. That's one thing about the way that Troy tries to build his strategies, and one of the things he'll stress as far as when you do your testing is find a time frame and a chart that gives you a statistical advantage. And you'll hear us both also harping on the power of quitting and efficient trading. Don't just set up a trade plan. So you want to have a maximum number of trades. You want to have some sort of power of quitting. So if you get a positive outcome, you're done. You get out of the market and wait till your next session or the next day or what have you. Don't just keep trading, because trading more is not necessarily the way to get to better profitability. And if you remember 6 years ago, that's exactly, that was Troy's premise at that point as well, and he hasn't changed that at all. Take your profit and get out of the way. Don't expose yourself to more of the market than necessary. or whatever you do for recreation. As many people on here know, my golf course is a rifle range. In fact, I've got a local match here this weekend at 600 yard weekend. Okay, crude stop to 73.17 for anybody that is running a trailer. And there is a catapult trade. We're past we're in 9:30 or actually 8:30 to 9:30 or 9:30 to 10:30 trade window, and that's exchange time, so that is central time. So looking for 10:30 to 11:30 on my chart. And so we have a short trade at 42.54.50. I would take that down to 42.54 even, get it below the 50, break the 50 EMA, you get into that. Yes, it is. MES is the micro ES. And crude stopping out. So that ends the session. And the YM looking for a new trade. Oh, that should. That's more like what it should be doing. And we're starting to get a downward move on the pound Aussie. Finally. Yes, it does. That's what the contracts. And let's see what I have set for the account size and the settings, because that's in your indicator settings. And I'm assuming that's been a new feature that Troy has brought in with Catapult, and I'm assuming that he's continuing that with the energies. Let's see. Yeah, I've got this one set at 20,000 account, and the risk per trade at 2%. So it's telling me 16 contracts. Okay. Just more noise on the pound Aussie. And after a short down move, consolidation in the micro ES. That's up to you, however you want to trade it. If you want to use all four targets, and you can use a trailer, which is how I typically trade. I'll either trade three targets in a trailer, or four fixed targets most times. Sometimes I'll go ahead and if I've got enough contracts, I'll go ahead with five positions. But in that case, I would run, if I were going to run all 5 positions, I'd run 3 contracts to each target, and actually 4 contracts to target 1, 3 to each of the subsequent targets, and 3 on the trailer. With 16, because you're working with a 5-position trade. But at this point, we're down to watching the micro ES and the pound Aussie, and both of them at the moment seem to be kind of sideways. And then as your account grows, you just add contracts. You'll fill out target 2, target 3, target 4, and the trailer. And then start over again at target 1. And I would say, personally, I would try to get it to, I would get it up to the point that I could take, try to get it to the point I could take at least three contracts, so up to 30 contracts. Then I would probably switch over to the full ES and do two targets and a trailer, and then continue to add targets. And I added positions, or as I added contracts. And you said you use NT8, right? What does this look like? This looks a lot like what you use with NT8, doesn't it? Yeah. Yes, I'm using NT8. Oh yeah, yes, I do use Chart Trader. I don't turn it on these small charts because it just takes up too much real estate. So we can keep multiple charts on screen. Now, let's see. I can go ahead and let's turn it on the micro ES. And yeah, okay. Since it's wanting me to do a 16 contracts, let's do that. And I said 54.0 too. And I'm going to try to keep it from having slippage. So I'll show you what the ATM looks like that I use. Okay, yeah, and in this case, that's right. I wait target 2 because that's a little bit better risk reward. Oh yeah, I have ATM set up for basically each number of contracts as it moves around. Not a whole lot to watch right now on the How Nosy. So I will put that back to hidden. It will leave the. I just have it running. I just have it hidden normally. Just to have more screen space. And that trade will stay valid until the fast line crosses back above the slow line. Even if it closes above the stop. No, that's just a chart level adjustment I used to get below the 50 EMA. I just don't want to do an entry to a tick or two above the 50 EMA, so I'm going to adjust around it. Especially a short entry, a tick or two above. I don't want to do a short entry, a tick or two above the 50. I want to make price action push below the 50 to trigger the trade. And that's what I was mentioning when I was putting it on the chart. And we're now into the 11 o'clock session for crude. So I'll put that back down into the corner. And actually that long setup is valid for a get in sync, and we actually should be in that. All right. And the micro ES trade, the catapult trade, has triggered in unadjusted, but has not triggered in via the adjusted entry. I could have sworn I turned that off. Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah, and that just triggered in adjusted. And things are running really slow right now on my computer. All right. And there's the setup for that one. Yes, that's a 5-minute chart. I can see, you know, and you know from having been with Troy on Trend Jumper, he's a big proponent of doing your testing and making sure you can see the forest for the trees. So just that one or two losses don't cloud your judge. You find a plan that gives you a statistical advantage, and one or two losses are not going to make you jump ship. And crude trade taking some heat. All right, and we're at about 2 hours. So unless there are further questions, I'm going to have to call it a morning here pretty shortly. No, the trade room is not open on Fridays. We're Monday through Thursday. So Troy will be back in on Monday. I'll be here Tuesday, etc. All right, folks. Pound Aussie is still right around its entry. The micro ES is backed off a bit. And the crude trade is right at its stop, unfortunately. Yeah. 1 second, folks. I will have to call it a morning. We'll see everybody next week. Have a good weekend.